Good morning, one and all. We got a good one for you. Today, we are going to break down how the pros sharpen a chainsaw, but we got a complete outline. We're going to start with the anatomy of a chain, then we're going to go through the different types of chain. We're going to get right into sharpening, and then we're going to go into bar maintenance and tensioning. And I'm here with the pros from Pro Tree Outdoor Services. This is Tanner. How are you, buddy?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you again. All right, so let's dive straight into Chapter 1, the anatomy of a chain.
Absolutely. There's some key points to chain.
Okay.
Down here you got your drive link. That's what goes right in the bar.
Okay.
You got your tie straps,
Okay.
rivets, and your cutter tooth.
Okay. So the cutter tooth is, and then show me the raker if you don't mind.
Yeah, going into the cutter tooth, the key points of this, your raker, that's your depth gauge. Mm-hmm. You got your side plate. Up there's your top plate.
Okay.
Most importantly, you have your working corner. That's that tip right there.
All right. Show me on the opposite side here.
Yeah. Top plate's up there.
Okay.
Your working corner is right down here.
So that's what does all of the cutting.
Does a good amount of it.
Okay. Okay. And that's the entire anatomy of a chain.
That's the most basic.
Okay, next up is the different types of chain, because this kind of makes a big difference in what your work is, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So up top here, this is a professional grade shade. It's a full chisel, which means in between your side plate and your top plate, that edge right there has a 90-degree angle.
Okay.
It's an aggressive cutter. Cuts very fast.
Okay.
Can also dull a little faster.
So that's a pro level chain though?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what is the semi-chisel?
Semi-chisel's down here.
Okay.
You got your side plate, top plate again. That edge right there is rounded.
Yeah, I can see that.
It holds up to dirt, debris.
So here's you can see the difference. That 90-degree versus that rounded. And then what's the benefit of that?
Doesn't dull as fast.
Okay.
Doesn't cut as fast, doesn't dull as fast. It's a good farm chain.
Everyday
use.
Okay, so it's gonna last longer. It's gonna give you more working hours before you're pulling it, before you're sharpening it. Okay.
Just a little better.
Okay, so now skip tooth. Do you have a skip tooth chain here and why we should know about that? Okay.
Right over here. I'll flip this over. Should I bring it over there?
Yeah, bring it over into the light if you wouldn't mind.
All right.
Okay, so here we're looking at a skip tooth chain.
Yeah. So this is, if you look, there's only one drive link in between your cutter teeth.
Okay.
The skip tooth, you got two drive links between every tooth.
Okay. And when would you want that and when wouldn't you want that?
So we use these on bigger wood.
Okay.
It doesn't drag as much, doesn't clog as easy. It's less teeth to sharpen,
Yep.
and it can cut faster.
Okay, what's the downfall then?
It's not as precise.
Okay.
So if you want to do a lot of precise cutting, you're going to want your standard.
When you got to get that directional cut in and you got to finesse that tree and you got to know exactly where that's going to drop, you're not going to want to go with a skip tooth as likely.
You can still use it
Okay.
on bigger wood. It's
Okay.
just not as precise cuts.
Okay.
You can walk a little more and move around.
Oh, okay. So you professionals use it when you want to get through a lot of wood fast.
Yeah.
And you don't want to sharpen as much.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. That makes
Yeah.
complete sense. Now the size of the chain makes a big difference. You got a 20-inch bar here.
Yeah, so
right?
that doesn't mean you can throw any 20-inch chain on it.
Right. Okay.
There's all sorts. You have 3/8. This one's a 404. That goes on our big 880 chainsaw.
Okay.
Those drive links are a lot bigger. So you can put this chain in this bar.
You could not put that chain in that bar.
Along with this chain down here, this goes on our climbing saw. This also wouldn't fit in here. So you got to take a look at your chainsaw bar and make sure that corresponds with the chain.
So it's not just about the size of the bar. The size of the chain has to fit the bar itself. I noticed numbers on the chain. So as we're looking at these, I see 72. It says Oregon on it.
Yep.
15 on the bottom one. What are we looking at? What do those numbers mean?
So they'll identify two things. I mean, this is an Oregon chain, so this is their specs. It will do your gauge and your pitch.
So that tells you right there.
Yep. I mean, steel's going to be different.
So that 25 on that tooth, that tells me the pitch.
Yep.
Why do we care about the pitch? What is that? What do we need to know about that?
For your bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
You got to make sure you got the right chain for your bar, and also that corresponds with your saw sprocket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go further.
So you can't just get a 20-inch chain of any size and throw it on your chainsaw.
Okay.
You got to make sure you have the right gauge, and then these are also 3/8 chains.
Okay.
Right here I have a 404. This isn't going to fit into a 3/8 bar.
So what you're telling me is if you have a 20-inch bar, you can't just walk into a store and grab a 20-inch chain.
Yeah.
That isn't going to work. You've got to match up
What type of saw you have and what type of bar you have. And everything's stamped right on this bar. You have 3/8,
Okay.
72. And if you go back over to the chain, yeah, the 72 is stamped right there.
So that's how you match up the right chain with the right bar, and that bar matches the sprocket inside the saw, and that's what keeps you going.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're not running back to the Home Depot every 10 minutes.
Okay. All right. Square file. Did we cover square
We
file?
did not.
Okay.
Square file is not something you're going to see every day.
Okay.
It's a very special chain. You can see right here that edge.
I'm trying to see it, Tanner. Okay, so I'm zoomed in on this one. Show me what I should be looking at with this.
Right inside the gullet, it's got that square cut to it.
Oh my gosh.
It's not rounded at all.
Oh, I can see that now. Why would we want that? And why wouldn't we want it?
A lot of people wouldn't want it. They're
Okay.
very difficult to sharpen.
Okay.
They dull very easy. You hit any amount of dirt, your chain's dull. It doesn't cut. Benefit, it's a very fast cutting chain.
Oh, okay. So if you're going into a log cutting competition, you want that chain?
That'd be probably the winner right there.
Okay.
I mean, you got two things too. It's a square file, but it's also a skip tooth. So if you notice here, there's two straps between each cutter tooth. On our other chains, you only have one tie strap. So what that also does is less drag on your teeth.
So this is a skip tooth.
Yep.
Less drag, and I'm going to guess less to sharpen versus
Less
one.
to sharpen, and it won't clog as easy. It can flow through there a little easier.
All right. So we've covered the anatomy of a chain. We've covered the types of chains and how to get the right chain for it. Are you going to show us how to sharpen a chain the right way?
And we'll do hand file.
Okay, so there's two different ways to sharpen a chain, and it's called a chain, not a blade.
Correct.
If you're a blade, you're cutting concrete, you're cutting something else. So there's two different ways, hand file and machine file, but most people don't machine file, right?
On all of our climbing saws, we still hand file them.
Okay.
Again, we have right here, this is square file grinder. Over there, we have a round file grinder. We'll use those on our bigger saws because we're going through some.
So you even have special grinders for the different types of chains when you get into the upper levels of, okay, that makes
But
sense.
hand filing works great.
Okay, well, let's get into it.
All right.
All right, so we're in the sharpening now.
Yep.
Okay, so what do we got to do first?
So if you already went out and bought your chain, you're gonna have to make sure you have the right file.
Okay,
This chain is takes a 5/32 file. Again, that's the key. You can't just throw a bigger file in it. You're gonna throw your whole tooth off.
oh, okay, so buy a file the same time you buy your chain.
Yep.
And label your file
Yep.
so that you
They're
know.
all stamped too.
Oh,
Just
okay.
Make sure you have the right file.
Okay, so let's get into it.
Yeah. So a lot of these, you can get guides with your files and everything. But for example, on this chain, see that dash right on top?
Yeah.
That's going to identify two things: the angle of your tooth and the end of life. So that's gonna be the angle you want to sharpen it at.
That little line right next to your thumb is that's it.
Yep.
That's your end of life on that chain.
Yep, and that's also what angle you're gonna want to be sharpening it at.
Oh, that's a guide.
Yep, not all chains have them.
Okay.
This chain right here doesn't have them.
Okay.
That's where a guide can come in handy. If you've been doing it long enough, you don't need them.
Okay. So once we're ready to sharpen, we got the right file, right chain.
Yep.
Let's go. What do we do?
Right. I always find my worst tooth. I already went ahead and marked them. I just use a black Sharpie, mark them so I know where to start and finish.
So you mark your first tooth
on each side.
Okay, on each side.
Yep, because you're gonna
So
want to switch.
that's why there's that Sharpie mark there and that Sharpie mark there, and it's not on that tooth. Okay,
Yep.
so that's your starting point.
Yep.
Okay.
And the key is same amount of strokes per tooth, but you also want to consider taking out the same amount of material. So if you're going really heavy on one tooth, you're taking out more material.
Okay.
So be consistent on every tooth.
So if you put 12 strokes on one tooth, put 12 on the next,
Yeah.
put 12 on the
Both of them
next.
the same size.
Okay.
So, but just meet a little bit of pressure. Oh, let me tighten my vise up. The key is to not drive this file too far down into the gullet. You don't want to start going into your tie strap. You kind of want to sit it into the gullet, into the tooth. You want to make sure you're contacting the top of the top plate too. So they give you an 80-20 rule.
Okay.
80% of your file is down in the gullet.
Okay.
20% should be exposed above your top plate.
Okay. Are you twisting that file as you're going?
No, I'm not. These files actually, if you look at them, they got a spiral to them. So it does it for you.
Now you haven't mentioned the rakers at all.
No.
Okay, why?
So once I do the whole chain,
Okay.
sharpen everything, and
Okay.
you're done,
Okay.
you're gonna want to go to the rakers then.
Okay.
And then-
And tell me about the rakers. What is the job of the rakers? And let's point out a raker here.
Rakers right here, also known as a depth gauge. And what that does is that determines how much material your tooth's taken off.
Okay.
So if your raker is too high, this will take off a small wood chip. If it's too low, it'll bite in a lot more and take off more material.
Yeah.
So
and
you need to be very precise.
that's how One Finger Frankie got his nickname. He took his rakers down too much and it bit too much
Yeah.
and it bit One Finger Frankie. Now he's got a permanently crooked finger.
Permanent reminder.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
do that again.
Because it can grab you fast.
Oh, it can get dangerous. If you take those down too much, you're not experienced with the saw, even with the professionals.
Yeah, it kicked back. It bit too hard and he wasn't ready for it. Okay, so you actually have to take your rakers down after you go through the filing.
Yep.
Okay, so the filing is the same amount on each tooth.
Yep.
Don't twist it.
No.
Follow the.
Another key part,
Okay.
you don't want to drag your file backwards.
Oh,
Lift it
yes.
up. If
Okay.
you're dragging it back, you're just destroying your.
Show us the right way here, real quick. You're
This
going
is a
with
nice
it.
pass. I
you're going-
lift it up.
Okay, you're going right with the same angle as the tooth. And then if you drag backwards, you're actually dulling it at that point. aren't
Yeah,
you?
you're doing no good.
Got it. Okay, so now we've got our teeth filed. We'll say we went through the whole thing.
Yep.
We do one side.
Yep, I'll flip the saw around, get it in another comfortable position, do the other side of the teeth, and then you can move on to the rake.
So you do not try to keep this saw in this position and file both sides
No.
because you're not left-handed and it just your brain doesn't work,
If you
right?
get in a good comfortable position, but you don't want to walk your file along.
Got it.
You gotta be comfortable.
Okay.
So then this is a raker gauge we're gonna use,
Okay.
25 thousandths.
And what does this do and how does this work?
So it rests on the top of the teeth. As you look, this tooth will get shorter. It angles down.
Okay.
So the shorter your tooth gets, you gotta take your raker down with it. And you just get it in there. And you keep going. That's all. It really doesn't take much.
You just got to make sure that that raker matches up with your tooth.
Yeah.
Do one more if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
So that guide, that just sits on all of the rakers and levels them out.
It actually sits on the tooth.
It sits on, yeah. It sits on the tooth.
I'm doing the wrong side. Nice and slow, you don't want to go too crazy. That's all it is.
That's all it is. Huh.
Yeah.
That's
And it
it.
makes a big difference.
How long should it take to sharpen a chain on average? A 20-inch?
20-inch chain. Depends on how bad it is. If it's not too bad, it should take 10 minutes.
So a little bit of practice.
A little bit of practice.
You get the
and
feel
if
of
you
it.
just consistently keep it sharp instead of waiting for it to get destroyed.
Muscle memory.
Good shape.
Okay, so now we are on to chapter 4, which, are we done with sharpening?
We are.
Okay, we're on to chapter 4, which is bar maintenance and tensioning, because there's some stuff that I had no clue about until Tanner showed me. So I'm going to show you. All right, you guys, I'm going to jump in here and just ask you to do me one favor. If a video like this helps you out, you know what helps me out? Commenting, hitting the like button, or sharing it. But now let's get into the next part of this video. Bar maintenance. All right, I'm ready, Tanner. Are you ready?
Another key thing that you don't want to go without. First thing I do when I pull a bar off, you can use, this is the tool we have, you can use anything.
Okay.
Just go through your bar quick, clean it out, get the gunk out of there.
Okay.
So your oil can move through.
So show me that one more time, and I want to get in here close so I can actually see how this
So we'll just
works.
go in here, scrape it all the way out. This one's pretty clean. I mean, sometimes these chains can get
So
very
they get,
gunked
so
up.
this inner,
That channel will just get full.
that channel gets full of crap, and when that gets full of crap, your bar's going to have more, or your chain's going to have more friction on your bar.
More drag.
It's going to produce heat, and it can actually blue your bar, right?
More so if your chain's tight.
Oh.
But you're also not going to have as much oil flow.
Oh, okay.
Keep it clean. It'll get the oil flowing throughout the whole bar.
All right, and we've got to deburr the edges, I think.
Yeah. So if you can take this, you should be able to just go past that. And if you can see, there's a lip right there. This is one of our really old bars. So what we gotta do is you can either take some sandpaper or a flat file and just work those edges off. Get those deburred.
Hey, will you flip that, put that burry edge right up to this edge right here so I can get real tight with that? Thank you. Why do we care about that?
I'm sorry. For a few reasons.
Okay.
That's from your chain being too tight.
Okay.
So your chain's not gonna go through the bar smoothly.
Okay.
It's got more drag, and it's also gonna pinch more. Now this is wider than your bar and your teeth. So this is gonna get caught in your cut.
Oh, okay. All right. So, how do we check the trueness of your, because I've had bars get pinched in trees. I've seen,
Pinch bars and trees.
Yep.
I've done everything to a chainsaw bar.
it happens to everybody. I don't care how good you think you are, right?
It just happens.
Just
And
happens.
It's good to check. So we have a flat bar. I don't have it with me. You can use a flat table, a level, but you just want to lay your bar flat and feel it out. Make sure it's not twist or bent, because that's really going to affect your cutting. You can have a very sharp chain, but if your bar is bent, you're not doing any good.
Okay. So just stick it on a flat surface and just,
If your tip's sticking up, if you can rock it, if it looks like a banana, throw it
okay.
away.
And I see we've got an oil port up here.
Yep. Again, not all saws will have that. We have a little grease gun. You can squirt a little bit of oil in there to your sprocket. You want to make sure your sprocket's also moving. It's not binding up.
So in this grease port right there, is there a specific kind of grease we want to use?
There is.
What is it?
I don't know I just get it from the Minneapolis saw shop. It's a little special grease gun. This saw is getting used by professionals every day, so we keep up with it. If you're not using it every day, hopefully the oil from your chainsaw will get in here.
What about using some WD-40 or JB-80? Is that okay?
It's up to the manufacturer.
Okay.
It's whatever they recommend.
But you're not going to take the grease that you're greasing up your heavy equipment with.
I'm not going to slap that on.
You're not
I
slathering
don't know how that holds up to heat or anything.
You're not slathering that in there. Okay. And then last but not least is checking the tension on the chain, right?
Definitely. Another key point. When checking tension, make sure your chainsaw stop is off.
So you don't have it running. Don't
Do
let
not have it at full throttle.
Don't let your 4-year-old be working right behind you and have his hand on the throttle, revving it up while you're trying to do it. Just turn it off and
Yep.
Okay.
Saw's off, chain brake off.
Yep. Okay.
Make sure your chain's actually moving in here.
Okay.
If it's binding up already, you know it's too tight.
Okay. So a good even flow with the chain brake off and the saw off.
Yeah.
Got it?
And I always pinch it right in the middle
Okay.
of the bar.
Okay.
And pull up, not too much pressure. And see how the drive links are just barely coming up past the bar?
Yep.
That's good tension.
Okay.
You don't want to be pulling this up. If I pull really hard, that's bad. So just moderate pressure.
Moderate pressure, pull up. Should have a little bit of
Yeah, you just want to see the bottom of the drive link.
forgiveness in there. Okay.
Yeah, right in the middle of the bar.
Okay.
And if it's too tight, you're going to wear your bar out.
That's
Just
what
like this one.
is that when you blew it?
That's when you blew it. That's
Okay.
when you mushroom the edges, and you got to start doing a lot more bar maintenance.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And if it's too loose, your chain's going to fall off. It's not going to walk in the cut as well. And you're going to have a bad day.
All right. Well, I think we've covered everything, Tanner.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Dan.
And if you guys got any questions, go check these guys out. They're on Instagram, ProTree Outdoor Services. That's their phone number. And I think, what's your website?
Pro-tree.com.
pro-tree.com. And that's it for this one, you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Big thank you to these guys for letting me invade their space 2 mornings in a row.
We love having you.
And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. God bless. Go get them. And I hope you got something out of it. Catch you guys on another one.